Hi guys, welcome back to the Tech Diary. That's a great start, isn't it? Let's bring this up, not down, up. That's still down, up we go. And that's a bit better. No, it's not. Let's just do this. This is my second channel where I take forever to get to the point and the production values, they're just non-existent. They do not exist. Also, full disclosure, two things. One, I'm very tired because, I know I say that annoys some people, but I don't care. I'm very tired because I got up at, what time was it? 3:30 this morning in, where was I? Prague, and then got a 7:10 a.m. flight from Prague to London, got the train from London to where I live, and then came to the studio. Anything could happen. The second thing is that I'm not very well. I've got man flu and all that stuff. So this could go anywhere. It really, really could go anywhere. And yeah, if you're here for the ride, thank you more than ever. Also, I forgot my main camera. I forgot the SD cards. They're at home, so I'm using this little DJI Osmo thing, which I do use occasionally for these diary videos. So if it all looks a bit weird, there we go. Who cares? Right. Getting to the point, I want to talk about these, and they may not look immediately obvious in terms of what they are, but they are AirPods Pro 3. They're encased in this ESR case, not sponsored by the way, on this particular video, which is very, very good. We'll put a link down below. It will be an affiliate link, so we'll get a kickback if you click and buy and all that stuff, but this video isn't sponsored by ESR, but it's a very good case. Anyway, I don't want to talk about the case. I want to talk about AirPods Pro 3 and a little bit about YouTube, because something really interesting has happened with these earbuds. Basically, I just like the iPhone, I don't get the AirPods seeded by Apple. And what I mean when I say seeded, that is basically when a brand sends you stuff ahead of time. So they'll send you a product that has an embargo, so you can't talk about it. You get it perhaps a couple of weeks before the actual full public launch, and you can review it and launch your review on the embargo date, and hopefully that makes sense. That doesn't happen with me with Apple when it comes to the AirPods or the iPhone. So I do have to buy them, which is no bad thing, that's just the way it is. But it also means that I have to wait just like everyone else in terms of getting them. These arrived late. They came 2 days later because I missed the delivery at home. However, we always had the plan with these to not review them immediately, mainly because the diary was so full with other videos, for the iPhone Air, for the iPhone 17 Pro Max, etc., and lots of other stuff. So I thought, in my wisdom, let's leave it a month. Let's do something I've never done before and wait a full month to review the AirPods, the brand new AirPods Pro, which felt like either a genius move or very risky, more so the latter by quite a distance. The reason it's a risk, waiting that long, basically 3 or 4 weeks to drop your review, is that the initial wave, that wave of embargoed reviews has come and technically, normally gone within a week, maybe, if you're lucky, or a few days. So that period has long gone by the time that I was considering, I was basically guaranteed, what am I trying to say? That embargo period had disappeared. Can you tell that I'm not very well and not really with it? It had completely disappeared by the time I came to publish my review of these. The thinking behind this is that it was a calculated risk because a little while ago, it may have been even possibly a year ago, quite a while ago, I put what they called a poll on. This is a struggle today, guys. I put a poll on the Mark Ellis Reviews post YouTube community page thing, and asked the question: do you prefer reviews that happen immediately, or would you rather wait? Would you rather, would you rather have an immediate unboxing / first impressions, or a 2 week or a month later review? And overwhelmingly, I can't remember the exact percentage, but overwhelmingly, people voted in favour of the latter. Basically, wait, please. But regardless of that, it still feels unnatural not to get your review out as soon as possible. So it was definitely a calculated risk, because I thought, well, if those people are still around watching the channel, then they will appreciate this. So we published it a month later, roughly, and it's one of, in fact, it may be the most rocket ship-like video we've ever published on the channel in terms of how quickly it accumulated views. So I think at the time of filming this video, it's done about 340 something thousand views. And most of those, what's really interesting is that most of those came in within the first 3 or 4 days, possibly. It's over a week old now, and it has slowed down in terms of those views coming in. But the biggest chunk of those views came within the first few days, which is incredible. And we were just watching it. I keep saying there is a team behind this. We just kept looking at this number going up and up and up. The comments kept coming in, the likes, all sorts of stuff going. It was just, but the view count was just. I've never seen a video move that quickly. Very rarely, anyway. And that is fascinating. I suppose, one, it does kind of reaffirm the whole, wait for the review thing that I think people completely are totally on board with. But secondly, it reveals that these AirPods Pro 3 have a pretty big audience, and more importantly, have an audience, I think, that's taking its time to get these, because taking its time to commit to buying them. And the reason I say that is because a lot of the comments on that video are from people saying, "Oh, I'm still not sure. Can you tell me a bit more about how they compare against AirPods Pro 1 or AirPods Pro 2 or AirPods Pro 4? AirPods 4 with ANC." I think a lot of people are really, really weighing up whether or not they should buy these. Still, we're nearly in November, we're end of October now, and people are still trying to decide whether or not to buy the AirPods Pro 3. Equally, there's a fair few comments from people who have bought them and possibly sent them back. Some people haven't been happy with them. Others who have bought them and have absolutely loved them, and I guess are watching videos like mine not to justify their purchase, but certainly this happens a lot. A lot of people watch reviews on my channel from people who have already bought that thing. So they buy that thing. I think we've all done this, and then you watch videos about that thing, so you can. Perhaps it is a justification. I don't know. Anyway. So, views-wise, and if you were one of those 340,000 people, thank you so much. We will be making more content, as you'd guess, on the AirPods Pro. However, there is an issue with my AirPods Pro 3, which didn't really surface during the making of the video, which is why it wasn't mentioned. I've kind of noticed it a bit more over the last week or so. And what it is, it's not that exciting. I should be saying it is exciting to sell this video, but I can't really, I need to polish a something, then I can't use that word. Tractors driving past, apologies if you could hear that. I can't really sugarcoat this. It is, it's not that exciting, but I'm interested to hear if it's something that any of you guys have experienced as well. So when I put these in, let me turn off noise cancelling so I can hear myself. If I play audio through these now, there's a definite imbalance between the left and right earbud in favour of the right earbud. So if you can imagine the audio, those the balance slider on old-fashioned hi-fis, and somewhere within the EQ settings, I think for within iOS 26, it's just been nudged slightly to the right, which means there's more stuff coming out of this side. And you can just hear the audio is just slightly off. And like I said, this kind of surfaced about a week ago. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Immediately thought my hearing was going. So tried a different pair of earbuds, and they were fine. It was centered and it was all fine. So it's definitely something to do with these. And then on a flight last week, I think it was, I had these in, and again, the audio was just slightly that way. And it's not much, it's just enough to be a bit weird. And we were obviously taking off, and once we were mid-air, it shifted and it came back to where it should be. Now, you may already be typing in the comments with this. You may be thinking, yeah, that's probably something to do with the spatial audio thing. So with AirPods, pretty much all AirPods of the most recent generations, you can have a thing called what do they call it? Spatial audio. There's two settings. One is fixed, where it's this great big sound field. I keep forgetting that. What's the word? The sound stage. That's it. It's this huge sound stage which kind of imitates physical speakers being in front of you and around you and all that sort of stuff. The fixed setting means that if you turn your head like that, it stays there. So the audio source feels like it's still coming from there, even though you've turned your head and you're wearing earbuds. It's really weird, really clever, and really messes with your head. The other setting is that it follows you, and I think this is the default setting. And that means that as you move your head, the audio doesn't stay there. The audio comes with you like that. And then what sometimes happens is if you very quickly turn your head like that, the audio stays here. So if you've turned and left your head there for a bit, and then you go like that, it's still coming over here, and then it kind of rights itself. So you can hear the audio coming back round and centering there. It's really weird. If you've never experienced this, it probably makes no sense whatsoever. But if you have tried spatial audio, and I would guess that most people who watch this channel have tried it, it's a really weird sensation. It felt a little bit like that, but I didn't even have spatial audio on. It's turned off. It's not on, and I hadn't turned my head. I've done it. I mean, that's irrelevant because it's not turned on. Really strange. And it happened again. So this flight that I had today, it did the exact same thing. Now I will speak to Apple. I'll put in a claim to get these checked out and replaced, I think, because something's not right. But I would love to know from you if you've had the same problem. What bothers me about it, and the reason I haven't got in touch with Apple yet and filed the whole broken product thing with them, is because I worry that it's software related, which is why I'm asking you if you've had the same problem, basically. It feels as though it's a bug. Because clearly, when it shifted, I don't know why it happens on planes, but when it shifted back to where it should be on the plane yesterday, it was okay. So that suggests to me that the left earbud's fine. So then you think, well, if I do put in a support request for Apple, is that a complete waste of time? Because would they just send out another pair that does the exact same thing? Is it my iPhone? Is it a bug within iOS 26 that is, I don't know, that's causing this weird kind of shift of balance? I don't know. So let me know in the comments, guys, if you've had the same thing with your AirPods Pro 3 or your AirPods Pro 2, because if it is software related, then maybe it would affect both generations. Who knows? But that's actually the only problem I've had with the AirPods Pro 3, which I know makes this video title a bit of a clickbaity thing, but that's life, I'm afraid. Aside from that, they are utterly fantastic. I love these earbuds. I think, and this is controversial, clearly, looking at the comments in the big video that we published last week. I think they sound better than AirPods Pro 2. These are AirPods Pro 2 in here, and I think these sound worse than these. Worse is very much a relative thing, because these still sound very good. That said, Apple has apparently released a firmware update for the AirPods Pro 3, which in some people's mind corrects the audio and makes it more like these. I'll be honest, I've not noticed it. I've not A/B tested since that firmware update has been applied, which I think it has to these. But a quick note on that before I sign off. That's a really bad thing to do on YouTube, by the way. I don't know if you're aware of this, but every YouTube manual, in terms of being the YouTuber guide, every guide says, don't start wrapping up the video because people start disappearing. Never wrap up a video. So what I just said, ignore it. I'm not wrapping up, promise. I've lost what on earth was I talking about? Oh, the audio. My belief with AirPods Pro and AirPods 4, in fact, AirPods all the way around, is that they're here to do a job very well. And the job they do very well is pairing perfectly with your iPhone, with your iPad, with your Mac, and being incredibly convenient. And they are the most convenient earbuds ever. There's no other pair of earbuds I've reviewed, and I've got most of them that have been released within the last 2-3 years in that cabinet over there. Nothing comes close in terms of ease of use, and not faffing around with Bluetooth connectivity and multi-point Bluetooth connectivity with different devices and things dropping, the connection dropping. They just work. You take them out of the case, you put them in your ears, and then whichever Apple device you're using just starts working with them. They are utterly brilliant. I've always said AirPods Pro in particular, they have the Apple magic that is fairly hard to come by these days, understandably, because they can't keep innovating things like they did with the iPhone and the original Mac and all that sort of stuff. So these have kind of taken the mantle of having that Apple magic that just works. They're fantastic. But I think because of that, you have to accept the fact that they're not going to be obviously audio grade earbuds in terms of the sound. Equally, they're not going to be as good as, for instance, the Bowers & Wilkins PI8s, which they're just superb sounding earbuds. And to be fair, the Bose Quiet Comfort, I'm pointing over there because they're over there somewhere, the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra 2s and the Cambridge Audio Melomania something, A100s I think they're called. They're not as good as those earbuds in terms of audio, but they beat those other earbuds in every other department if you're an Apple person. Guys, how long's that been? 16 minutes, my word. I think, this is running into 20-minute territory. I'm going to shut up now. If you've stuck with me for this, because I'm not on death's door at all, but I don't feel great at all. And I'm very tired, so unbelievably tired. I can't say where I was yesterday because, I told you where I was, but I can't tell you why I was there because there's an embargo. But it was a very quick trip and a couple of very late nights. And my head is all over the shop. So hopefully some of this made sense. Fingers crossed. If it didn't, apologies. I'll be back next week, hopefully, although there is another trip next week, which is another in and out thing. And anyway, maybe I'll be back next week with something more coherent. I don't know. But let me know in the comments what you think and what you feel about the AirPods Pro 3. And let's keep the conversation going because clearly there's a lot to talk about. I'm off to bed. Cheers.